Hey, my name's Tim. I run a little coffee roasting operation, and I've noticed a lot on YouTube. There's not a whole lot of people that are roasting live or doing demonstrations or things like that. There is some out there that you can find, but there's not a lot. And so what I'm hoping to do with this very first video, which I'm hoping is going to be the start of the channel, um, is to have you be able to see me roast, and then on my laptop back here, I'm going to record this screen from there on Artisan, which is the coffee roasting software, monitoring software that I use to track my roasts and track how hot things get and when I add air or take away air from the roast and things like that. So this is going to be the first video. It might be a little rough. I've never done this before, and so maybe you'll learn a little bit about roasting as I'm learning a little bit about how to make a YouTube channel. So we'll see how everything goes. So the roast I'm doing today is coffee from Rwanda, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but it's Rwanda Rulindo Tumba. And the weight of coffee that I put in when I do my roast on this Probat, which is a Probat L5 from 1958, what I put in for my charge weight is 3,850 grams of green beans. And usually what that will yield me in the end is just a little bit over 7 pounds. So I have a 6-pound order to do today. I'll keep a pound for myself, and then the rest I'll sell. So when I roast coffee, I found out during COVID that I'm a little bit allergic to the green coffee dust. So I wear a mask when I load up my coffee roaster, just because, or even when I scoop the beans out, take them from the bag, and before I put them in the roaster. They found out I'm allergic to the dust, and it makes me cough quite a bit. So you can imagine during COVID that was interesting the first few times I discovered that, and worrying that maybe something bad had happened. So I wear a mask for just a little bit, and coffee roaster is pretty well heated up. I let it go for about half an hour at about half power, which is about 1.6 kilopascals, and then that'll take about, like I said, about a half an hour. And then once that's done, then I will let it shut off for a little bit, and then run it back up. And I try and run it back up at my charging heat, or my charging power on the gas, which is going to be about 2.3 kilopascals. I try and let it do that for just a little under a minute to make sure that the temperature is stable in the roaster. So that's kind of what you're going to see here in just a little bit. And I hope you enjoy. And like I said, we'll see how all this turns out. Thanks. So I start off the roast here with, like I said, power at about 2.3 kilopascals on my gas, which is propane for this roaster. And you'll see on the video here, which I'm hoping to be able to put the screenshot down below, you will see how the temperature goes up, drops down, and then goes back up. And then once we kind of get going into the roast, I don't know how much more talking I'm going to do. Right now it's about reaching its turning point, and I have my air at 60%, which is just an approximation on this Probat. It's older, so there's a sliding bar here that allows me to adjust the air, the amount of airflow through the roaster. And once it gets up, reaches the top, I'm going to turn it down, or turn the air up just a little bit while it goes down, and that's going to pop the temperature up just a little bit. As you'll see on hopefully the video on the side here. And then I'll probably keep it at 75% air until I get a little bit closer to first crack. And then from first crack, then I will eventually move it up to 100% air so that I get real great airflow through there, pulls out all the chaff, and I don't get any smokiness to my roast. And move my slider just a little bit here to go to 75% air. And about a minute away from the dry end, which I think it probably varies a little bit per coffee bean, but I always consider it around 300 Fahrenheit. So I just reached my dry end. I'll show you the coffee here. I'll see if you can see that. Not sure if you can, but give it a shot. And I usually step it down about 0.1 kilopascals each time I go down. And you'll kind of see that on the graph here. So you can see that, where we're at now, at 345. Coming up on about 370. Maybe see kind of where it's at now. This is going to be just before first crack. About 395, first crack just started. And I'm down at around 1.4 kilopascal. And then I bump my temperature or my airflow up to 100%. First crack end, I'm at temperature of 409. And I'm going to turn off the gas here. My temperature is going to come down pretty quick. But I'm about done with the roast. I'm going to drop it here. So that temperature ended at about 412 is where it topped out. I'll pull the camera off here. I'm going to be jostle you a little bit. That's the end of the roast. It doesn't take very long. And here's my screen, kind of give you a shot of what it looks like on Artisan. Now this will take a little while to cool off. I do have a infrared thermometer that I use. I'll show you here. And right when it comes out, the coffee's obviously at 412. Within a little about a minute, it's dropped down to 280 or so. I would like for this particular coffee roaster to cool a little bit faster than it does. So I'm currently working on putting something together that will actually accomplish that here. But not yet. So for this particular customer, I actually have a second roast to do, not on the Probat, but on my Hoopy 500. So it's still a pretty small roaster, so I don't have a whole lot that I do, but their preference is to have about 6 pounds and of one bean and then 1 pound of the difference. So I'll do the 1 pound roast on the Hoopy, and maybe I'll record that one as well and get a separate video. Hopefully give you some insights into roasting on 2 different roasters today. The temperature is down to about 140 degrees on the coffee. Anything below 100 is usually, I feel, pretty safe. Ambient temperature today is about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, so not too far off. And then I'll let it sit for just a little while and then bag it up a little bit later and make delivery tonight. While I'm waiting for the coffee to cool down, I can tell you a little bit more about the roaster. I've been roasting since 2015, and I started roasting on the Hoopy in the back there. I bought that from Kwan Ho Lee. He makes them by hand in Taiwan, and really enjoyed that roaster. Learned a lot, and made a few modifications to it, which you might see a little bit later. But this Probat roaster is a 1958. Was originally in a Cafe Malvina in the North Shore of San Francisco. Stayed there for I think about 30 years, and then went into storage, and then went up to another roaster in Portland, and then it spent some more time in storage after that. And so I just bought it just last year in October 2022. And it made a few modifications to it. I've added the manometer, a digital manometer to it, and then a pin valve, which is similar to what's on the Hoopy. And what was on here before was just a lever, but I didn't have a whole lot of control over gas pressure. Gas pressure was from here to here, which didn't really give me a whole lot of flexibility and precision when I wanted to control my roast. So adding not a pin valve, the needle valve. The needle valve allows me to do some really fine adjustments. So all I did was pipe a little bit of galvanized, if that was what was already on the machine. So I stuck with galvanized because it was already there. And then piped it out, and then ran a run here for the needle valve, and then put a little takeoff for the manometer on there. And then that goes back into the burners, which are up here. But it's been fun learning. It's been a little challenging at times. Before, if I would screw up on the roaster on the Hookie, I was only out 1 pound of green beans, but on the Probat, if I mess up something, I'm out 7 to 8 pounds of beans, so a little bit more of a cost investment. Run about 97 degrees with the beans, so just give it another minute here, and then I'm gonna drop the beans, and then I'll shut this video off, and then hopefully maybe shoot another one today, and give you a look at what I do on the Hookie roaster. Last thing is I set my air to 100% through the drum instead of 100% through the cooling tray. And then I'll let it go, and I'll actually open this up. So you go open this up, pull it open, wiggle it to the side a little bit, and then it kind of catches it, or it stays open. So I'm going to let that cool down, and that'll take a little while. But thanks for joining, and like I said, I hope to see you again.